The Voran Empire had always considered itself the smartest, the most advanced species in the galaxy. Their technology was beyond imagination, shapes and designs that no other race could even comprehend, and warp engines that bent the very fabric of space. Among their prized possessions was the Voran warp core, a device so powerful that it could send a ship across light years in seconds. No one, they believed, could ever copy it. No one could understand it. And certainly no human could ever hope to even touch it. Commander Lyra Veth stood at the edge of a deep asteroid canyon, her eyes scanning the dark rocks that stretched for miles. The warp core had been carefully hidden inside one of these jagged caverns surrounded by multiple layers of security and traps that had claimed the lives of intruders in the past. Drones hovered silently, their sensors glowing faintly in the dim light. To Lyra, it all felt perfect, untouchable, safe. "We've done everything we could," she said softly to her second-in-command, Jarek. "No one will find it. No one will ever touch our warp technology." Jarek nodded, though his eyes carried a hint of worry. "Humans are clever, Lyra, but you're right. Even they couldn't survive these traps." Lyra allowed herself a small smile. "Exactly. Let them try." Far away, on the outer edge of Voran space, a human ship approached silently. The endurance was modest compared to Voran cruisers, sleek but small, with engines that hummed instead of roared. Its captain, Elias Dre, studied the asteroid on his view screen. Unlike the Vorans, Elias didn't feel the need to boast about advanced technology or unbreakable defenses. He knew humans had a gift: observation, understanding, and adaptation. "Interesting," he murmured as if speaking to himself. The warp signature coming from the asteroid was faint, almost hidden, but humans had a way of noticing things that others missed. He studied the energy patterns, the layout of the cavern entrances, and the subtle vibrations that hinted at mechanical traps inside. Elias's crew watched silently as he began preparing their landing equipment. They didn't rush. They didn't panic. They simply analyzed. Step by step, part by part, they moved closer to the hidden treasure. Back on the asteroid, Lyra's scanners picked up the faint readings of the human ship. She frowned. "They're here," she said. "Alert the defenses. They can't find the core. They won't succeed." The drones sprang to life, patrolling the rocky terrain. The asteroid shook faintly under their mechanical movements. Lyra's heart beat faster, but it wasn't fear, at least not yet. It was anticipation. The humans had never reached this far into Voran territory before. The idea that someone could even try to take what was hidden thrilled and frightened her at the same time. Elias, meanwhile, activated the landing sequence. The Endurance touched the asteroid surface softly, almost reverently. The humans moved out, sensors scanning, analyzing. Their hands touched rocks. Their instruments hummed quietly, and slowly they began understanding the warp core's presence. Hours passed. The humans didn't attack. They didn't try to break the traps. Instead, they studied. They observed. They understood. Lyra watched from orbit, growing uneasy. She couldn't believe what she saw. The humans were mapping the defenses perfectly, predicting the traps and moving forward with a calm determination that seemed almost impossible. Every move they made was precise, deliberate, intelligent. "How?" she whispered to Jarek. Her voice trembled slightly. "How are they doing this?" Jarek shook his head. They are learning. Too fast. I've never seen anything like it." Lyra clenched her fists. The pride she felt in the Vorsan Empire wavered. She had hidden their greatest treasure, yet here were these humans, calmly approaching it as if they had every right to understand it. She realized then, with a mix of awe and fear, that this was not just another encounter. This was a challenge. One she might not be prepared for. And somewhere deep in her heart she felt it. A spark of respect for these humans, these small, unassuming beings who could think, adapt, and overcome where empires had failed. The game had begun, and the humans were already inside the maze. The asteroid was quiet, almost peaceful. Yet inside its jagged rock walls, tension hung thickly in the air. The humans moved with surprising calm. Captain Elias Dre led his crew carefully. Every step, measured, every hand gesture precise. They did not rush and they did not panic. Each human understood the danger, but they also understood themselves, and that made them terrifyingly effective. Elias crouched beside a faint energy pulse. "There it is," he said softly. He pointed to a shimmer in the rocks, almost invisible to the untrained eye. "Our target. That warp core is more than just a machine. It's a puzzle, a challenge, and it's ours to understand." The crew exchanged glances, a mix of excitement and respect in their eyes. This was not just another mission. It was the chance to touch something the galaxy had protected for centuries, to unravel a secret no one else had dared approach. Inside the asteroid, the Voran sensors picked up movement, but their alerts were confused. The humans moved silently, like shadows. The Vorans could not comprehend the way they examined every surface, every panel, every energy conduit with a methodical intelligence that seemed to flow naturally. Lyra Veth watched from orbit, her hands clenching the edge of the control console. Her pride clashed violently with disbelief. How are they doing this, she wondered. They shouldn't be able to see through our defenses. They shouldn't understand the traps. And yet, they did. Hours passed. The humans approached the core's chamber. They had dodged mechanical traps that had destroyed entire squads of Voran soldiers before. They had deciphered complex locking mechanisms in minutes, and they did all this with no arrogance, no chaos, just pure understanding. Jarek turned to Lyra, whispering, "They're not just clever. They're different. They see solutions we cannot see. They feel patterns where we see only walls." Lyra's breath caught. She realized the truth. Humans didn't just rely on technology. They relied on creativity, on intuition, on courage that did not falter even when every warning screamed danger. And that courage, she knew, was contagious. Inside the final chamber, the warp core glimmered like a heartbeat in the shadows. Its hum vibrated through the walls, a sound that normally intimidated even the bravest Vorans. Elias and his team stood before it, tools in hand, faces calm but eyes bright with excitement. They did not attack. They did not force it open. They studied, touched, and slowly began to understand. Lyra's communicator beeped furiously. "Stop. Them," she ordered. "Do not let them touch it." But it was too late. The humans were already dismantling the warp core, part by part, panel by panel, analyzing its function with a precision that the Vorans had never imagined possible. It was almost painful to watch. Everything they had hidden, every measure of security, was being methodically understood. Elias looked at his crew, whispering instructions. They worked silently, almost reverently. Each movement was careful, each connection examined. It was not just dismantling, it was comprehension. The humans were not thieves. They were learners, builders, explorers. And in that moment, they were unstoppable. Lyra's jaw tightened as she watched from orbit. She felt a strange mix of emotions: anger at the invasion of her people's secrets, fear for the power humans now wielded, and admiration. Yes, admiration. The humans had done something the Vorans had never expected. They had challenged the very heart of the Empire and succeeded. "Impossible," Jarek muttered, shaking his head. "They shouldn't exist like this. They shouldn't be able to do this." Lyra felt it too. The truth that no one dared say aloud in the Voran Empire. Humans were not merely another species. They were something else entirely. Something unstoppable. Something that could learn, adapt, and evolve faster than even the greatest minds could imagine. Elias stepped back, the core now partially disassembled. "We're not finished yet," he said to his team. "Now comes the real test, understanding it fully. And when we do..." He smiled, a calm but powerful smile. We will be ready for anything the galaxy throws at us. And deep in her heart, Lyra knew that the humans were already rewriting the rules of the universe. The humans worked quietly inside the asteroid chamber, their movements precise and deliberate. They had dismantled the Voran warp core piece by piece, carefully cataloging every component, every wire, and every energy node. To any outsider, it would have looked chaotic. How could a small human team handle a device the size of a small building with such skill? But there was no chaos here. There was understanding, a patience and clarity that few other species could ever achieve. Captain Elias Dre crouched near the core's heart, his hands steady as he examined the energy conduits. "Notice the pattern," he said to his crew. "This isn't just a machine, it's a thought process. It's a set of rules the creators followed. If we understand their rules, we can do more than just rebuild. We can improve." The crew nodded, focused entirely on the work. They did not rush. They did not panic. They analyzed, they questioned, they tested. Slowly, the components began to fit together. Not exactly as the Vorans had built them, but better, more efficient, more flexible. Up in orbit, Lyra Veth watched from her command ship, her hands gripping the railing. "Impossible," she whispered. Her scanners showed the energy readings of the core shifting in ways she had never predicted. The humans were not only reconstructing the device, they were enhancing it. Its efficiency was rising. Its potential energy output was higher than even the Vorans had ever designed. Jarek turned to her, voice trembling. They're improving it. They're making it stronger than we did." Lyra's chest tightened. Pride, fear, and awe all swirled together inside her. She had believed the humans would fail. She had believed their species was too small, too weak, too inexperienced to understand Voran technology. But here they were, proving her wrong in the most spectacular way possible. Inside the asteroid, Elias stood back for a moment, hands on his hips. He studied the core. "It's remarkable," he said softly. "We're not copying it. We're learning it. And once we learn it fully, we'll be ready for the galaxy in ways no one expects." A junior crew member, Lena, glanced at him. "Do you think they'll ever forgive us if they know?" Elias smiled faintly. "They won't understand. They'll never expect humans to see what we see. We're not enemies, we're learners. That makes all the difference." Meanwhile, Lyra sent a warning through comms. "Leave now, humans. You cannot survive. Stop immediately." But the humans did not stop. They did not fear the warnings. They respected the challenge, yes, but they also trusted themselves. Step by step, they reassembled the warp core, testing each segment, adjusting each pulse. And with every adjustment, the core became more than it had been, a fusion of Voran genius and human ingenuity. Lyra's jaw tightened. She could not deny the truth anymore. These humans were extraordinary. They were tiny, fragile, and inexperienced by her empire's standards, but they were fast learners, patient observers, and relentless thinkers. They were proving, with every calm motion, that raw intelligence and determination could surpass centuries of hidden knowledge. The asteroid's walls hummed softly as the core came alive. Lights flickered, energy surged, and the room seemed to vibrate with a power that felt almost alive. Elias looked at his team. "We've done it," he said quietly. "Not just rebuilt, improved." Lyra gritted her teeth, staring at the readings. No species should be able to do this," she whispered almost to herself. And yet, deep inside, she felt a spark of something she could not name. Admiration, maybe even respect. The humans had turned what the Vorans had thought impossible into reality. They had shown that intelligence was not measured in size, strength, or history, but in curiosity, courage, and understanding. And in that moment, Lyra realized something that terrified her more than any enemy ever could. The humans were not just survivors. They were builders. They were creators. They were a force that even the mighty Voran Empire had underestimated, and the galaxy would soon know it. Lyra Veth's hands trembled as she gripped the command console. The humans had done the impossible. They had not only dismantled her empire's most sacred technology but had improved it. Her pride, her anger, and her disbelief collided into a storm inside her. She could not stand by any longer. "Prepare the landing party," she ordered sharply. "I will deal with them personally." Jarek hesitated. "Lyra, they're humans. They're small, yes, but what they've done, it's beyond anything we expected." "I don't care," Lyra said firmly. "We will not let them walk away with our secrets, not alive and not in any form." The human crew, unaware of Lyra's imminent arrival, continued their work. The warp core pulsed gently, lights flickering rhythmically as energy flowed through its circuits. Captain Elias Dre and his team moved like dancers, each motion purposeful, each adjustment precise. They were calm, focused, and aware, but not arrogant. They understood the danger, yes, but they also trusted in their intelligence, in their preparation, and in each other. Lyra's ship landed with a controlled thud. Her boots struck the rocky surface as she advanced into the chamber, eyes blazing. "Humans!" she shouted, her voice echoing off the cavern walls. "Stop! You have no right to this." Elias looked up calmly. His gaze met hers, steady and unwavering. "We have no desire to fight," he said. "We are learning, that is all." Lyra's jaw tightened. "Learning," she spat. "You are stealing what belongs to my empire. You cannot comprehend the power you are handling." Elias stepped closer, but cautiously, hands visible. "We understand more than you think. We are not here to destroy or take. We are here to understand. That is what humans do." Lyra's chest heaved. She had faced enemies before, but never like this. Humans were small, fragile compared to the Vorons, yet in front of her eyes they wielded something far more dangerous than brute strength. They wielded intelligence, courage, and creativity, qualities that could topple empires. "You cannot simply dismantle our core and improve it," she shouted. Her voice shook, a mixture of fear and fury. "Do you realize what you have done?" Elias nodded slowly. "Yes, we do. And we also realize the potential we now have, not to harm, but to build, to explore, to reach further than anyone has ever dared." Lyra felt a strange knot in her chest. Anger still burned, but beneath it, awe began to grow. These humans, so small and seemingly insignificant, had proven themselves in ways her empire could not ignore. They had turned her greatest weapon into something greater, not through force but through understanding. One of Lyra's officers stepped forward. "Commander, we can fire. We can destroy them. End this now." Lyra raised her hand, stopping him. She stared at the humans, at their calm faces, at the pulse of the improved warp core. Something inside her shifted. The instinct to destroy was there, but so was respect. Fear mingled with admiration, creating a new, uneasy feeling she had. "Never experience. They're not like other species," she whispered to Jarek. "They think differently. They adapt. They improve. And we underestimated them." Elias watched her closely. "You don't have to fear us," he said softly. "We are not your enemies. But you will need to respect us, because humans never stop learning. We never stop trying, and once we understand something, it becomes part of who we are." Lyra's fists unclenched slightly. Her eyes softened, though her pride still burned. She realized that the humans had not broken her empire. They had taught her something. Intelligence, courage, and creativity could surpass even the greatest defenses. For the first time, she understood that the galaxy had changed. And in that moment, she knew the humans had already won, not with weapons, not with strength, but with something far more powerful. Their mind, their determination, and their unshakable courage. The confrontation had begun. And yet, no shots were fired. The battle, Lyra realized, was already lost, and not in the way she had imagined. The cavern was alive with energy. The warp core pulsed gently, its rhythm steady and powerful, yet unlike anything the Vorons had ever designed. Elias Dre and his team stepped back, watching as the device hummed with a strength that made the walls vibrate. This was more than just a machine now. It was a testament to human ingenuity, patience, and understanding. Lyra Veth hovered above, in her command ship, observing through sensors that could penetrate even the thickest rock. Her eyes widened as she saw the energy readings climb higher than any Voran engineer had ever achieved. Every metric indicated efficiency beyond her empire's original design. She felt a mix of disbelief and awe. They've enhanced it, Jarek muttered, staring at the displays. Faster, more stable, and more powerful. I can't believe it. Lyra's heart raced. Her empire had prided itself on superior technology, but here were humans, tiny, fragile, and inexperienced by Voran standards, achieving the impossible. The realization hit her. Humans were not bound by fear or tradition. They did not hesitate because of centuries of rules. They experimented, adapted, and improved. Inside the chamber, Elias looked at the core. We didn't just rebuild it, he said quietly. We understood it. And once you understand something fully, you can change it for the better. His crew members, Lena, nodded in agreement. It's like the core was waiting for someone to think differently, to see its potential. Elias smiled faintly. Exactly. And that's what humans do best. We see possibilities where others see walls. Lyra's communicator beeped urgently. Leave now, she commanded again. You do not understand what you are handling. The consequences, but Elias ignored the warning. We understand more than you think, he said to his team. Let's test it. The humans activated the warp core. Lights flickered across the cavern, circuits thrummed with power, and a soft vibration filled the air. Slowly, the room seemed to shift as if the very molecules were responding to the core's energy. Elias smiled. It's stable, strong, ready. Lyra's jaw tightened. Fear mixed with amazement. She could feel it in her bones. The humans had taken her empire's most secret technology and made it something greater than she had ever imagined. It wasn't just the machine that had changed. It was the humans themselves, their courage and intelligence shining like a beacon in the dark. They've done it, Jarek whispered. They've surpassed in hours. Lyra felt a strange tug at her pride. Rage and disbelief battled with admiration. She wanted to order an attack, to reclaim what was hers, but deep down she knew it would be futile. These humans had already proven something far more important. Intelligence, curiosity, and determination could conquer even the greatest defenses. Elias looked up at Lyra's hovering ship. You see? He said softly, almost kindly. We don't need to fight. We don't need to steal. Understanding is enough. Once we grasp something fully, we can build, adapt, and explore. That's who we are. Lyra stared, feeling a knot in her chest. She had underestimated them. She had expected fragile, inexperienced beings to falter, and yet here they were, calm, precise, and brilliant. The humans had not only survived, they had grown stronger. They had taught her a lesson she could not ignore. The warp core hummed, steadily, a quiet testament to the power of understanding over fear, curiosity over arrogance, and determination over tradition. Lyra realized that no empire, no matter how advanced, could stop a species willing to learn, adapt, and push beyond what others believed possible. For the first time, she felt respect for the humans. Not fear, not anger, but admiration. She knew the galaxy had shifted and it was no longer just about the Voran Empire. The humans had arrived, not as invaders, but as builders, explorers, and a force the universe could not ignore. And deep in her heart, Lyra knew the truth. The humans were unstoppable, and the galaxy would soon see why. Lyra Veth watched from orbit, tension twisting her stomach. The humans had rebuilt her empire's warp core and enhanced it beyond her wildest expectations. She had expected them to fail, to stumble, to destroy the device in a careless attempt, but they had not. Every calculation, every movement, every adjustment was precise. They were not just survivors, they were creators. Prepare a containment field. she ordered her officers. If they exceed their limits, we will stop them. Jarek frowned. Do you really think that will work? They've already surpassed everything we imagined. Lyra's hands clenched the railing. Then we'll see if their courage matches their skill. Inside the asteroid chamber, Elias Dre and his team stood before the fully reassembled warp core. Its energy thrummed through the cavern, a steady pulse that seemed almost alive. The humans had studied, dismantled, rebuilt, and now tested it. And yet, Elias knew there was one final step, one last test to understand the full potential of the machine. Ready? He asked his team. They nodded. This was it, the moment when observation and understanding would meet action. They activated the core's experimental sequence, allowing it to channel energy at maximum capacity while maintaining stability. Lights flared, circuits glowed, and the hum grew into a powerful resonance. Lyra's scanners screamed alarms. Containment. Field ready, she shouted. This is beyond safe limits. They are risking. But Elias remained calm. His crew trusted him, and he trusted them. Step by step, they monitored every fluctuation, every surge, every pulse. When one conduit threatened to overload, a crew member adjusted the configuration. When another section became unstable, Elias suggested a reroute. Each decision was deliberate, precise and creative. The warp core responded. Instead of failing, it stabilized, its power flowing smoother and stronger than before. Energy cascaded through the cavern, illuminating every corner, every crevice. The humans had not only controlled the power, they had mastered it. Lyra's jaw tightened. Fear and amazement warred inside her. She could feel it. The humans were showing her empire a truth they had never admitted. Intelligence, courage, and innovation could surpass brute strength, history, and tradition. Jarek whispered, They've done it. They've mastered. The humans stepped back, exhausted but exhilarated. Elias looked at the pulsing core and smiled. It's stable, fully operational, and more powerful than anyone believed possible. One of the crew, Lena, exhaled, her eyes wide. They won't believe it, not even the Vorans. Elias nodded. We don't need them to believe. We just need to know it's done. That's enough. Lyra's communicator buzzed frantically. Humans, you have no right. Leave this asteroid. Immediately, Elias glanced up. We are leaving, he said calmly. But know this, we understand now, and understanding changes everything. We are not here to destroy, not here to take, but to explore. And once we explore, nothing can stop what comes next. Lyra stared at the humans, feeling a mixture of emotions she had never experienced before. Fear, yes, pride, yes, but also admiration. The humans were small, fragile, and untested, but they were unstoppable in ways her empire could not contain. They had learned, adapted, and improved in a matter of hours what her people had guarded for centuries. A realization hit her hard. No fortress, no trap, no secret was ever truly safe from a species willing to think, to question, to adapt. Humans were not just survivors. They were innovators, builders, and explorers. Lyra exhaled slowly, the tension in her body easing slightly. She could not stop them. She could not control them. And maybe, deep down, she did not want to. The galaxy had changed, and the humans were proof of that change. Elias gave the signal. The humans activated the warp core's final sequence, and the Endurance lifted smoothly from the asteroid's surface, energy trails shimmering in its wake. The humans had completed the test. They had not only survived but triumphed, and in doing so they had shown the galaxy the true power of curiosity, intelligence, and courage. Lyra watched silently from orbit. She knew one thing with certainty. The humans were a force the universe could not ignore, and she could not stop admiring them for it. The asteroid receded behind the human ship as the Endurance accelerated into space. The warp core hummed steadily beneath the hull, a quiet heartbeat of brilliance that no one could ignore. Captain Elias Dre leaned back in his chair, letting the calm wash over him. His crew was exhausted, exhilarated, but above all, alive. They had done something extraordinary. They had understood, rebuilt, and mastered a piece of technology that had been untouchable for centuries. Lena exhaled softly, staring at the glowing core. "I can't believe it," she said. "We actually did it." Elias smiled faintly. "We didn't just do it, we learned it. That makes all the difference. Knowledge isn't just power, it's freedom." Far behind them, in orbit around the asteroid, Lyra Veth's ship hovered silently. She had watched every step, every adjustment, every pulse of the warp core. Her pride had been challenged, her expectations shattered, and yet, beneath her anger, a strange sense of awe had taken root. These humans, small, fragile, and untested, had done what her empire had sworn was impossible. She whispered to Jarek, her voice catching slightly. "They are not like any species we have ever known. They think differently. They adapt, they improve, and we underestimated them." Jarek nodded slowly, his eyes wide. "They've changed the rules. They've rewritten the limits." Lyra clenched her fists, not in anger this time, but in reluctant respect. The humans had shown her something she had never allowed herself to believe. Raw curiosity, courage, and intelligence could surpass centuries of tradition, power, and secrecy. In a matter of hours, they had proven themselves, not through violence but through understanding. Back on the Endurance, the crew marveled at the warp core's stability. Its energy flowed evenly, humming with a steady rhythm that seemed alive. Elias turned to his team. "We have done what no one thought possible. But this is only the beginning. The galaxy is vast, full of mysteries and challenges, and now we are ready for them." Lyra's sensors picked up the human ship disappearing into warp. She sat back, a mixture of relief and disbelief in her eyes. The humans were leaving, but they had left a mark she could not erase. They had shown that even the smallest beings could overcome the greatest obstacles with patience, understanding, and courage. Her mind replayed every movement she had witnessed, the calm precision, the unwavering focus, the clever adjustments. She realized that no fortress, no secret, no amount of power could contain a species willing to learn, adapt, and rise above. Humans were not just another race. They were builders, explorers, and innovators. They had taken what was hidden, mastered it, and left a legacy that would ripple across the stars. Jarek broke the silence. "Lyra, do you understand what this means?" Lyra exhaled slowly, her pride and fear mingling. "It means," she said softly, "that the galaxy has changed. Humans are no longer creatures to be underestimated. They are a force to be reckoned with." And in that quiet moment, the truth settled over her like a shadow and a light at the same time. The humans had not come to conquer or destroy. They had come to understand, and in doing so, they had changed the balance of power forever. Elias. Dre looked out at the stars streaking past the viewports. He felt the hum of the warp core beneath him, a steady, reliable pulse. "We are explorers," he said quietly, "and the galaxy is ours to learn from, not to fear." Lena smiled. "And no one can stop us, can they?" Elias shook his head. "No one. Not now, not ever. Humans don't just survive. We build. We adapt. We rise. And the universe will remember that." Far behind them, Lyra Veth watched silently, the realization settling in her heart. She had underestimated them, feared them, and yet she had also learned to respect them. The humans had shown her that intelligence, determination, and courage could outshine even the greatest empires. As the Endurance disappeared into the glittering expanse of stars, the galaxy seemed to hold its breath. The humans had arrived, not as conquerors but as a force of ingenuity and hope, and the universe would never be the same again.